Welcome back. Today we are reading A Course in Miracles, Chapter 1, Section 6, The Illusion of Needs. I really love this one. I love all of them, but I really love this one. Paragraph 1. You who want peace can find it only by complete forgiveness. No learning is acquired by anyone unless he wants to learn it and believes in some way that he needs it. While lack does not exist in the creation of God, it is very apparent in what you have made. It is, in fact, the essential difference between them. So lack does not exist in the creation of God, but it's very apparent in what you have made. Lack implies that you would be better off in a state somehow different from the one you are in. Which, haven't we all thought that at some point? I don't like where I am right now, and I want to be in a different situation. So we've all thought that. Lack implies that you would be better off in a state somehow different from the one you are in. Until the separation, and it has that in quotes, until the separation, which is the meaning of the fall, nothing was lacking. There were no needs at all. Needs arise only when you deprive yourself. Needs arise only when you deprive yourself. You act according to the particular order of needs you establish. This, in turn, depends on your perception of what you are. So you're probably not perceiving yourself as a complete and whole child of God who lacks nothing. So once you feel separated, then you establish the particular order of needs that you think you need according to what you think you are. Paragraph 2. A sense of separation from God is the only lack you really need correct. A sense of separation from God is the only lack you really need correct. This sense of separation would never have arisen if you had not distorted your perception of truth and had thus perceived yourself as lacking. The idea of order of needs arose because, having made this fundamental error, you had already fragmented yourself into levels with different needs. As you integrate, you become one, and your needs become one accordingly. Unified needs lead to unified action, because this produces a lack of conflict. Let's read this next paragraph, and then I will share my thought with you. So paragraph 3, the idea of orders of need, which follows from the original error that one can be separated from God, requires correction at its own level before the error of perceiving levels at all can be corrected. So you first have to kind of acknowledge that you have orders of needs before you can really perceive those levels at all. You cannot behave effectively while you function on different levels, which again, we have talked about before. Going back to the golden rule that it talked about in section 3, I believe, of this first chapter, where if you don't perceive correctly, you cannot behave correctly. So then this is saying you cannot behave effectively while you function on different levels. So you shouldn't be perceiving yourself on different levels anyway. So that in itself is a perceptual error. So yeah, anyway. However, while you do, correction must be introduced vertically from the bottom up. This is because you think you live in space, where concepts such as up and down are meaningful. Ultimately, space is as meaningless as time. Both are merely beliefs. So while you have this idea that you are separated into different levels and different parts of you need different things, then you need to correct it from the bottom from the bottom up, even though technically there's no such thing as bottom up. But it made me think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I wrote it down because he talked about how there are these levels of needs, and if you don't have the lower needs met, then you can't even really begin to meet the higher needs. So the bottom need is physiological, basically your body. You know, you need food and you need shelter and all of those things. The next one is safety. If you have those things but you don't feel safe, then you're not going to be able to get to those higher levels either. The next one is love and belonging. The next one is esteem, you know, feeling like you have some confidence in yourself. And then the highest one is self actualization. So feeling like you can really fulfill your purpose. So, A Course in Miracles is saying, I love how it says unified needs lead to unified action. So, as long as you're trying to meet these different needs on different levels, here's my experience, and I don't know if this is what A Course in Miracles is referring to, but this just dropped into my head, so I'll just say it. If it lands with you, great, and if it doesn't, that's fine. But as long as we are feeling torn, like, oh, I need to, you know, feed my body healthy and get the exercise I need and do all these things for my physical body. But I also have these emotional needs that require something different. And so, how do I make time to meet my physical needs as well as my emotional needs, as well as my need for connection and love and healthy relationships, as well as, you know, doing whatever I feel like I'm meant to do to fulfill my purpose in this world. And so we feel torn in all these different directions. How do I make sure I do all those things for my physical body as well as, you know, take the time to rest and meditate and do all the spiritual things that aren't, you know, working out at the gym or whatever. And then also, I feel like I'm meant to make these videos and put them out in the world, or, you know, do whatever it is you feel your purpose is. How do I fit in all these things, make time for all of them? And this is saying unified needs lead to unified action. So when you no longer perceive yourself on all these different levels and you see yourself as one whole, eating the right food not only nourishes your physical body, but actually affects you mentally and emotionally and makes it so you show up better in your relationships and have that love and connection, and allows you to fulfill your purpose and receive inspiration clearly and things like that, because you're not all muddied up by all the stuff people put into food these days that isn't good for you and kind of dulls your mind and dulls your spirit. I think maybe that's what it's saying. When you finally see yourself as a whole, you can do one thing and it accomplishes something for every level because it's no longer different levels. Does that make sense? Like, that thought just all of a sudden came to me, so I could be wrong. I haven't really thought that one through, but it feels like that could be perhaps what it means. So we no longer feel torn and feel like we have to prioritize certain needs over other needs. When we see ourselves as whole, meeting our needs meets all of the needs, not just some of them. It's a thought. Okay. Paragraph 4. The real purpose of this world is to use it to correct your unbelief. You can never control the effects of fear yourself. You can never control the effects of fear yourself because you made fear and you believe in what you made. That is so powerful to me. You made it, and so you believe what you made. In attitude, then, though not in content, you resemble your Creator, who has perfect faith in his creations because he created them. Isn't that beautiful? Your Creator has perfect faith in his creations because he created them. He knows what he made. He knows you're perfect. He knows you'll figure it out eventually. He knows you're coming back. He has perfect faith in you because he made you. And he made you perfect with everything you need to get back to him. And so, in attitude, though not in content, we are just like our Creator. We believe in what we made. Unfortunately, we're making fear. What we're making is not a perfect creation. We're making fear. But we believe so much in what we made because we made it that we ourselves can't control the effects of the fear. We believe in it too strongly. Belief produces the acceptance of existence. So then we believe the fear really does exist, which is why, little kids believe so much in the monsters under their bed, right? They made those monsters and they believe in what they made. And it doesn't matter what you say about how those monsters don't exist, they still believe it. So belief produces the acceptance of existence. That is why you can believe what no one else thinks is true. You can believe what no one else thinks is true. It is true for you because it was made by you. And it wasn't made by them, so it's easier for them to not believe in it when it comes to fear, especially. Paragraph 5. All aspects of fear are untrue because they do not exist at the creative level. God didn't create fear, therefore it doesn't really exist. Only what God created exists. All aspects of fear are untrue because they do not exist at the creative level and therefore do not exist at all. To whatever extent you are willing to submit your beliefs to this test, to that extent are your perceptions corrected. In sorting out the false from the true, the miracle proceeds along these lines. So here's a little test to see if what you believe is true or not. Perfect love casts out fear. If fear exists, then there is not perfect love. But only perfect love exists. If there is fear, it produces a state that does not exist. So if you are in a state of fear, first of all, you know that perfect love isn't there, because if perfect love was there, it would cast out the fear. And secondly, you can rest assured that this isn't true. This isn't real. This state of fear that you're in. I know that isn't really helpful when you're in that state, but it is kind of an interesting thought, right? Believe this and you will be free. Only God can establish this solution, and this faith is his gift. Only God can establish this solution. So, like it said, once we believe in the fear because we made it, we can't control it. We can't control the fear. So, this idea that if perfect love is there, it casts out any fear. So, if you're in a state of fear, then you know you're missing love. And yet, love is really all that exists. So, you are just in a state that is unreal, that doesn't exist. But only God can establish this solution, and this faith is his gift. So again, I feel like it's saying, you can't fix this. So come to me and let me fix it for you. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it's saying. And that is the end of that section. So I hope you enjoyed it. It was kind of a shorter one, and hopefully we'll see you next time.